up on this episode of Mind the Game.
Who are some of the teams that league pass? We were sitting on our couch and we're like, oh, let's watch this team. Let's watch this guy.
Denver. This is a team that won 7 games.
Yeah, with the champions.
With the champs.
Yeah, per 36 when it comes to Steven Adams. I don't know the exact number, but he's going to be up there a lot.
That one's under a little pressure this year, I think.
Oh, that whole
at the end, they're going to be great. Yeah. They're going to be great.
I think they're under the most pressure of any team.
Orlando. Let's talk about Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane, yeah. The one Achilles heel last year in the postseason for Orlando. And throughout the course of the regular season was their shot making.
I was actually kind of posing the question more on an X's and O's, like what are the action scenarios that are getting us problem? Not that Alex doesn't bring that too, but I think what Alex brought was just enough you.
He was guarding Joker in the playoff.
Starting the season off, I think it's always a little bit important to look back. What did we learn last year in the league? What's top of mind to you? What did we learn? Obviously, it's funny, this time of year, you remember the last 2 teams more than anyone else.
No, yeah, no question.
They make a big influence on where the game netted out. What's your takeaways in general and also with those 2 teams?
Well, I mean, like you just mentioned, you think OKC, you think Indiana, you think their style of play, both teams, and obviously, you think of the victor, obviously, in OKC. Congratulations to them once again. Just think about the speed, and the defensive, cohesiveness of OKC. You think about the randomness, but it's not random, but it looks random, and the pace and the depth of Indiana and those teams. So, that was great basketball, and obviously, seeing Tyrese go down, none of us wanted to see that. That put a little damp on it, but for the full landscape and the full, of the whole finals, I thought it was just great basketball. And if you're a basketball fan, you really enjoyed the way both teams and both style of play.
And some great series. I mean, starting with Denver Clippers, could have gone either way. Then Denver, as a team we're going to have to talk about at some point here, taking OKC to 7 games. Amazing series.
And then added so much depth.
And then you got OKC and Indy taking them 7 games and having their best player go down in Game 7 after he's probably made 2, 3, 4 threes in the first quarter. It's crazy how things like that happen, right? You look back, you think, and well-deserved, OKC, phenomenal team. But how close it was from Denver. AG got hurt, played hurt in Game 7.
Right.
They scraped by. They scraped by with Tyrese getting hurt. I mean, phenomenal team. They also, Jalen Williams was hurt for 4 months.
Right.
Apparently, they hid that from us. So phenomenal. But when we talk about styles of play, I think you mentioned it's like, OKC's special because we talk about this new era is getting more into teams with depth. You see it with Indy. OKC has the depth, and they kind of have 3 stars or 3 burgeoning stars. But let's talk about a few things. Depth. One, I'd love to hear your thoughts on again getting back to more guys that can make plays and more guys that can guard. And then size. Some people are thinking about going big. We talked about Houston, going with the double big and how that works, why that works. OKC did some of that. Let's start there. What are your takeaways on big trends you saw last year that you think will continue?
Well, like you said, we saw Houston go with the double big in the postseason with Şengün and Steven Adams, and we may see them go to that again. I mean, when you have...
They added Capella.
And they added Capella as well. And they added a 7-foot Kevin Durant as well, who continues to say he's not 7 foot. But so I think to have the ability to do that, one, it starts with obviously here, having an IQ, and those guys are smart enough to know how to play off one another, because it's such a dying breed in our game of having 2 bigs out on the floor, but those guys complement one another. So I think we will see that with certain teams, if they have the right personnel to be able to do that.
I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Right personnel. It's just not having 2 big guys to take up space. When you think about OKC, Chet can space the floor. He can play make. He also protects the rim.
Exactly.
Hartenstein's so good at his motor, the floaters, the passing.
Right. You think about Milwaukee now, where they can play with Giannis and Miles now.
That's right.
They just added Miles Turner. You think about Cleveland, with Allen and Mobley. They have to be able to complement one another. So
that one's under a little pressure this year, I think.
Oh,
the playoffs at the end, they're going to be great.
Yeah.
They're going to be great. And
I think they're under the most pressure of any team coming into the season.
And I think they can find a way, but that is one that I think has been a little bit clunky here when it gets down to the end of games. But another example and that's skill, right? You got Jay, who's a great, rim protector, rim roller. And then you got Mobley, who can make plays. Can be a matchup nightmare on both ends of the floor. Houston, I think you think of it as these two bigs, but you got one who's one of the most skilled bigs in the game, maybe ever, in Şengün. And Steven Adams has a skill. He is an offensive rebounding machine, brings physicality.
Yeah, and that was the Houston. They understood that last year their problem was shot making, and shooting the three and whatever the case may be. So, them being able to create extra possessions was something that they knew they benefited from. So, and you look at per 36 when it comes to Steven Adams. I don't know the exact number, but he's going to be up there a lot as far as offensive rebounds, and that works for them. So I think that they've kind of shored that up a little bit, obviously, with KD's ability to shoot the ball. Dorian Finney-Smith can shoot the ball, so they've added some space as far as the shooting, but that is something, that is a tactic that they know they can go to, if need be.
Sure. The Freddie situation makes it really interesting with them. Just the shooting, they need shooting. They lose a shooter. The leader, the organizer. Opportunity for Reed Shepherd. Also an opportunity, Ime's already mentioned, them to go extremely big. With Thompson as the point. Handling the ball. KD and all that length on the perimeter, and then you got the two bigs inside. Fascinating to see how they make that work. I get it. Now it's a matter of them being practical. How can we create offense for ourselves? I think defensively they'll be able to figure it out with all that length. But it's interesting because, there's two things. Some teams are going big. I think that's trickier, harder said than done, but still a facet. But this depth thing is I don't think is going away. One, like we spoke about in previous episodes, the ability to play blender, more guys that can make a play, that space the floor and can make a play on a closeout, but also just people are starting to pick up full court. We're not going to see as much of it in the regular season, but it's becoming a facet of teams in the regular season.
For sure.
At least in patches, but in the playoffs.
So you need that depth. You have to have that depth to be able to. If there's something that we want to do for 48 minutes, we have to have that depth. So when we bring guys in, boom, we keep it going. Detroit the same way. Detroit to do the same thing. So you have to have those players that it doesn't tail off, when you making substitution, whatever the case may be, because this is how we want to play. So if this is our team, this is how we want to play. When you guys come into the game, you check into the game, keep the pressure up.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what tweaks we have this year, but there's a lot of teams that have made slight changes. You go down, it'd be good to talk about some of these teams. Some teams not by design, when you talk about Tyrese going down, you talk about certain players losing games, but they're going to have to play slightly different. But then there's other teams that have made moves. Let's talk about Denver. This is a team that won 7 games.
With the champions.
With the champs. Even had AG, I think, with a hammy in the game 7. They add some pieces. They had a shooter in Tim Hardaway. They had, I think, a two-way player in Cam Johnson. They had, one of my favorite players to coach, Bruce Brown. Great competitor, Swiss Army knife, some really improved three-point shooter, and just a great competitor. How do you see them as far as revamping this season?
I think they had a hell of a summer. They've added a lot of complimentary players and a lot of guys that's battle tested. I think Bruce Brown was actually on that championship team.
He was.
The last time they won it. They also added some more. They lost. Obviously Russ and Michael Porter Jr. and DeAndre Jordan, but they added Valančiūnas. Who's a big body who's been battle tested as well.
Because they've been reluctant to play a backup center.
They have. They have been reluctant to play a backup center. I don't think they will have that problem now with Valančiūnas.
So is that a double big opportunity? With Jokic's ability to stretch the floor, be the fulcrum, play 5 out.
That is an opportunity. That is an opportunity. We kind of missed that one.
Because if he's got that ball in that kind of extended elbow area, Valančiūnas, he can find him. And so the ability to roam as the second big is tough. And if you leave his body, he's a great offensive rebounder too.
Sure.
That's a fascinating double big.
They've had a great summer, and obviously Houston, they had a great summer just adding KD. But as far as the amount of players, I think that Denver has added, the complimentary guys they added, I think they had a great summer.
Right. Minnesota, And you guys played them in the playoffs. Like, gee, this is 2 years in a row they went to the conference finals.
Right.
They're kind of going under the radar a little bit right now.
Yeah, they are, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But they are. But I think they'll still be there. They'll still be there.
They're going to need young guys to step up,
They
I
will.
think, to improve, to develop.
Yeah, they will. 'Cause, I mean, I think losing Nikhil is a big piece of their team. But they have another year. Ant has another year under his belt.
Yep.
I think what Juju did last year surprised a lot of people in our league. Just how well he competed, especially defensively. But he was great throughout the whole season. And they're gonna just have guys have to step up. Nas is gonna, I think, just take another step. DiVincenzo another year under his belt with those guys. But like you said, will Rob Dillingham, the kid that they drafted last year in the first round, will he make a step forward to help out, take some pressure maybe off if Mike, Conley doesn't play a lot of games, at his, later stage in our career. So, like you said, a lot of young guys are going to have to step up for him.
I think Dillingham's got to be a rotation guy for them. One, I think, to give them another look in the playoffs, but also just to get through the regular season.
Yeah, to get through the regular season,
You need that depth. Some fascinating teams in the East. Detroit, they've lost Beasley. They lost Tim Hardaway. They brought in Duncan Robinson. But I think Detroit's one of those teams where they're looking to improve within.
Yeah.
Will Duran take another step?
Yeah, they kind of kept their nucleus.
Thompson take another step.
And another
Ivy.
Yeah, Ivy's coming back off injury.
Signing, and how good and effective can he be? So although they lost two key pieces, two shooters, two spacers from last year that were important to them, can they improve them within?
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think a little bit like OKC. They don't make any moves, right? They don't need to make any moves. But where's Chet going? Where's Jalen Williams going?
Right.
Where are some of these role players off the bench going? I think Detroit's a fascinating team.
Yeah, me too.
I was going to say, and they have the ability to make some moves.
Yeah.
The American Express Platinum Card is now better than ever, with updated benefits to help you unlock unforgettable experiences. You can access the largest global airport lounge network and global hotel program with a suite of benefits, as compared to other credit card programs. Plus, with dining benefits at over 10,000 U.S. Resi restaurants and exclusive access to unique experiences worldwide, Platinum membership means you can turn ordinary into the extraordinary. There's nothing like having an escape from the airport crowds. And with Amex Platinum, you're able to gain access to their network of global airport lounges. For me, it's just great to get a quiet corner, to do some work, to maybe chill out a little bit before I get home to the craziness. But obviously, getting to a lounge in an airport just kind of makes the trip a little bit more seamless. With an array of premium travel, dining, and entertainment benefits, all backed by American Express's award-winning service, Platinum membership brings experiences to a whole new level. It's true what they say, there's nothing like Platinum. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withplatinum. Orlando. Let's talk about Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane, yeah. And the one Achilles heel last year in the postseason for Orlando, and throughout the course of the regular season, was their shot making.
Yeah.
They just could not make shots outside the three-point line for, consistently all year, and obviously we know how dynamic Paolo is, we know how dynamic Franz is and those guys, but three-point shooting is very, it means a lot in our league today, and adding Desmond Bane, who, throughout his career is a knockdown shooter, can also get into the lane as well, make plays. I think that adds a dynamic. We'll see how it all comes together. But they're another sleeper as well. I think they can make another step forward. We'll see how far, but
I think it's a great call. I mean, they're a very good defensive team, physical, defend. I do think, though, Desmond Bane is going to be a huge asset. Not just the shooting. I like him in ball screens. I know maybe he maybe not rate as a high defender, but I think he's capable, physical. I think the key for Orlando in many ways is going to be how can they incorporate those three guys together. I like you guys. Paolo and Franz are going to draw the toughest assignments.
Yeah.
Bringing Desmond in like AR, who's a terrific offensive player, maybe bringing in a third defender. How can they get really effective and efficient using all three of those guys in action.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I think Wendell Carter just having a great season. Being able to stretch the floor, being able to rebound, being able to orchestrate that back line. I'd be excited if I was an Orlando
for sure.
fan, but a lot to work on, a lot to figure out.
A lot to work on, but and I love Mose too. Coach Mose is great. So
done a great job.
He's done a great job since he got there, and I love him. So I think they'll figure it out. And the one thing about when you ride for your head coach, I think you're able to make things happen.
And the biggest thing for coaches is health.
Yeah, for sure.
They had a stop-start year in every way last year. So giving him a full season with as many guys as healthy as possible, as with everyone in this league.
Suggs will be back.
Suggs
will be back. Yeah, for
Suggs
sure.
actually shot the ball really well, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, he did.
Without the injuries, if he can be that dog on defense, space the floor, still make some plays with his athleticism, competitiveness.
I agree.
They got a lot of guys.
I agree.
I want to get your take on Atlanta. It's kind of sleepy over there.
I spoke about them a little bit in the first half of this. It's very sneaky, man. Adding, like you said, Alexander Walker from Minnesota. Jalen Johnson got hurt last year, so now he's coming back. Porzingis had a great summer. If you watch any Eurobasket, he had a great summer in Latvia. And obviously another year for Trey. Dyson Daniels was up there, Defensive Player of the Year last year. And I thought, Ricochet started off the season like, but then he picked it up. He came on. Okongwu, Luke Kennard, they added a shooter, so that definitely helps. Yeah, that helps. So, man. I mean, you have Cleveland, you have Orlando, you have Detroit,
the Knicks.
You have the Knicks. And you have Giannis in Milwaukee, obviously,
We don't know what's happening in Philly.
But we don't know what's going to happen in Philly. Obviously, that's health. If they're all healthy, then, okay, we got something. Obviously, Boston is maybe a little down year for them, losing JT and, losing Drew, losing Porzingis, so they still have championship DNA, but we'll see what happens with them. Atlanta has an opportunity is what I'm basically saying.
Yeah.
Atlanta has an opportunity to not be in a play-in. I think that's their main goal. How can we get out of the play-in and give ourselves a chance to be in that top six?
And I think it's starting to give the right elements around Trey. You got, like you said, brought in Kennard. You got guys that are improving the shooters. I think there's a lot of upside to Daniels offensively still. Obviously a world-class defender, which helps Trey. Risachet, length. Jalen Johnson, length, athleticism, playmaking.
A lot of length.
Porzingis, length, shooting, creating more space for Trey. You go down Nickeil Alexander-Walker, gives you defense, a little bit of length at the guard position, depth. So you're taking a lot of the boxes here, right? You're taking a lot of boxes. One, needs. Two, improving from within. And three, just where's the game going with having multiple guys to be able to play physical defense, switch, to be able to make that play in blender is going to help Trey as well.
Yeah, and they should be able to play with a lot of pace and space too. Anytime you got a guy like Porzingis who his defender is afraid to load as much on the ball and Trey because Porzingis shoots it from 30 plus. So how much loading are you going to, if you're not there early, then don't be there at all. And then if you're not there at all, now you're allowing Trey to now work his magic. So, I think it adds another dynamic, man, for them. And I think Trey is going to, obviously, the number one thing in our league is health. Obviously, we know that. But I think Trey is going to realize how much of a complimentary and a dynamic piece it is for his game, having Porzingis out there on the floor.
Cleveland, I think they had a phenomenal season last year, and I think it's really easy to sweep away their success with their playoff loss, but there was circumstances. They had injuries in that series. Now, Indy was phenomenal, deserved everything they got, but that series could have gone either way if maybe they were healthy. How much pressure do you think's on them to kind of figure this out? I'm not saying pressure on any one individual, but to figure out the chemistry, the fit of their roster versus trying to make a move.
Yeah, I think it's pressure from within. I think they saw the success they had last year and how well they play a great style of basketball, man. They play a great style of basketball. That ball is popping, it's moving, they getting dribble drives, like you say, working the blender. They shoot it well, they pass well.
Baseline cut, drift.
Man. Yeah, but I feel like if I was someone from the outside looking in, I feel like they're putting pressure on themselves to make the next jump. They're probably looking at, it could have been us versus OKC in the finals. So we are to see if guys have made the next step. Evan had a great year last year. Does he make another step forward? Obviously DG, was hurt a lot last year. So, does he come back, playing well?
Yeah.
How much are they going to get out of Lonzo Ball? And I thought that was a great pickup. Great point guard, great mind, big, long. Defends at a high level space. So.
I thought he played well.
I thought he played well. Yeah, absolutely.
Played well. I was happy for him.
Absolutely. So that was a hell of a pickup for them. So, and then obviously Donovan. We know we're gonna get out of Donovan. He's battle tested. He's been in the postseason either with Cleveland, when he was in Utah. He kind of knows the rim of things. So how's it gonna come together again?
That's it.
And at this point, it's not about the regular season for them. Yeah. The regular season is about building habits, playing championship basketball, playing the right way, but we want to gear up towards the playoffs. Not saying that we shortcut the regular season, never want to do that, but it's not about if we can win 60 games. That is not their goal anymore. It's not if we can win 70 games. That doesn't matter anymore. It's about making the next turn.
It's an interesting thing maybe for like the average fan out there. A team like that, right? They can go and win a ton of games in the regular season. But for them, it's really about, like you said, like what is it going to be that's going to determine our success in the playoffs, and how much time, effort, energy, focus do we need to put on that, so that once we get to the playoffs, like we can win 60, we can win 60 games, but when we get to the playoffs, we're going to face this scenario. They're going to put us in these positions. How much time, effort, energy it takes, and commitment,
right,
to accomplish that, and maybe win 55 games in the regular season, but be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's going to be the most challenging thing, because who on the roster has actually been there? They've been to the postseason. I'm trying to think of the roster. Has any one of those guys made a finals appearance besides, Larry Nash Jr. that they signed? He was on the team with me in 18 back in Cleveland. He knows how he was a part of that team and saw how we was able to get there. So you have guys that been to the postseason, one in the first round, one in the second round. It's like, okay, but who is that guy that's going to keep them like, okay, this is the mission. Right. This is the mission. This is the goal. And you can have the coaches who've been there. You can have the GMs and you can look at the trophies around or the trophy, and the names. But who is that one? Who is going to be that person that's going to get them there? So, and that's not saying that. I thought, last year, with OKC, Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
We can look at how great Shea was with, obviously, J-Dub, obviously, Chet, obviously. I think Alex Caruso, he was that guy.
Brought an element.
He knew how to get there. He knew what it took to get there. He knew how to stay even keel if there was any adversity. You got to kind of have that one guy, that just makes it. That makes it all work.
It's interesting at that point because, I was actually kind of posing the question more on an X's and O's, like what are the action scenarios that are giving us problem? Not that Alex doesn't bring that too, but I think what Alex brought was just enough fuck you.
He was guarding Joker in the playoffs.
It's not working. I'm crashing. I'm running the floor. I'm setting a screen. I'm slipping. I'm making the next play because we're not gonna have a little mini slump.
He literally was guarding Joker on the elbow, like getting elbowed in the head.
Yeah.
That's who's gonna be that guy for Cleveland. We have to. I think that's the number one thing. Who's going to be that guy?
I think Lonzo will help in that capacity, and that he's at a stage in his career now where I think he's still a very, very good player.
Yeah, for sure.
But he also is willing to do the dirty work. I think that's a big pickup for them. And now over to our producer, Jason, for a word from one of our partners.
Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. Basketball season is back, and our partners at DraftKings are celebrating with their best offer yet. DraftKings brings the intensity of every possession right to your phone. Watch every crossover, every buzzer beater, every clutch moment with 3 months of NBA League Pass included with your first bet. And here's the deal for new customers. Bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. Plus, if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. The excitement continues with DraftKings same-day parlays, giving you a shot at even bigger payouts. Plus, their live betting lets you wager on star player props and in-progress games as the action unfolds. Get in on the action now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code MIND to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Plus, 3 months of League Pass on us. The crown is yours.
Dallas. Interesting. Interesting in that obviously, there's the whole context. Like they lose a generational player like Luka, they bring in AD and a pick that ends up somehow in the lottery getting Cooper Flagg. To everyone's astonishment. And that, so there's a lot going on here. One, Kyrie.
Yes, the health. I think the health of Kyrie is most important.
I don't know. I think they got a really interesting team even without Kyrie.
Yeah.
But Kyrie's Kyrie. And at the end of the day, you need players with talent that can go get buckets in tricky situations. So one, I think it depends on Kyrie's health.
I agree.
He goes back. But two, it's interesting because usually the number one pick doesn't go to a good team.
Yeah, I can't remember what was the last one. The last number one pick going to a.
Yeah, it's
Timmy.
It was, yeah. I mean, I was going to say Timmy, but that would have made me feel really old because everyone would be like, "What about A, B, and C?"
Timmy,
right?
I would say Timmy, right? Yeah, probably Timmy.
So it's interesting because I think when we think of number one picks, and it doesn't always work this way, we think of a guy that is a primary creator. What's interesting is I don't think Cooper's necessarily that yet. I think he's a Swiss Army knife. I think he brings a lot to the table. I think he's an NBA player at 18.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to go out there on a bad team and become that in front of our eyes, making mistakes, shooting bad shots.
And he doesn't have to have bad habits. That's the great thing for him. He can almost take the Kawhi route.
Right. Great analogy.
He could take the Kawhi route where, we never saw Kawhi in any bad positions out of his first couple years where he looked like, oh, why did they pick him? Like, he was like, he learned at his own pace.
Yeah.
He's there with multiple Hall of Famers, It's the same with Cooper. AD Hall of Famer, Kyrie Hall of Famer, Clay Hall of Famer, J. Kidd Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He can learn at his own pace, and when the mistakes happen, it won't be so microscopic because he has so many buffers around.
Yes.
So when he finally blossoms, we're gonna be like, wow, like that's what it's, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty for him, And Dallas is super intriguing in that sense. Obviously, we know 1A, 1B, 1C is the health of Kyrie because he's that dynamic. And when we get to the postseason, having those guys that can make dynamic plays, 80 is gonna be 80. Clay's gonna shoot the piss out the ball. And the rest of those complimentary guys, Max Christie, love Max Christie. Najee Marshall's tough as nails. PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Gafford, all those guys.
Deep, there's some depth there.
There's some depth there. There's some. Their coach staff has a lot to work with.
Some size.
Yes, and a lot of size, a lot of length. So it's gonna be very intriguing. I think that's a very intriguing team.
The nice thing for Cooper is that I think like his special gift right now is his versatility. So he can affect the game in a lot of ways without having to put the ball on the floor.
And he plays hard too, man.
Plays hard.
He plays hard.
Plays with pace. His speed, his length, defending multiple positions, being able to finish on the break, being able to make the extra pass. Like he's not going to have to say, I got to get into a 3-dribble move and take a turnaround because our team needs it. He can do that, and he'll grow at that. But right now, like you said, the microscope won't be on him every time he takes one of those because he just got 3 offensive rebounds in a quarter. He just locked somebody up. He was able to switch onto the best player. He's rebounding. So I'm very interested to see him be able to go at his own pace, like you said, and affect the game in a number of ways. So they're fascinating.
Yeah, and then we just go down the line like, okay, who are some of the teams that league pass? We were sitting on our couch and we're like, oh, let's go watch this team. We're gonna watch this guy. I mean, obviously Wemby is one of those guys. Obviously, you look at Wemby, you want to see what he's going to do every night. He's just a special talent, and see if they can kind of make a little jump, in their franchise. Obviously, Giannis, you want to see what Giannis can do. You love watching Giannis, love watching Joker. There's just certain guys. I love watching Book as well. I'm a big Devin Booker fan. Obviously, we won a gold medal together. He's one of my favorite people in the league, so I want to watch him as well. So it's going to be some opportunities for us to sit back and just watch and see how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be a Phoenix Suns league pass.
Do you even need league pass? There's not like a local channel down there you can just watch it.
There is. They have free. Yeah. It's free for everyone. Like 3 million people in the Valley to watch the games. Unfortunately, I don't have linear TV anymore, so I need league pass.
Yeah,
I need
league pass.
Unblocked because there's a blackout.
Oh, you
Phoenix
blocked.
For the
oh my goodness.
Which will get dialed, but definitely Phoenix. I think it's interesting. Obviously lost some top end talent, but a bunch of competitive guys. I think some guys that'll surprise
bunch
you.
Of competitive guys.
But to your point, Wemby, and I think he could take another leap.
Yeah, for sure.
And the way with his set profile dimensions, that could be scary.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this Atlanta team.
Me too.
See, what Quinn does with them.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
We talked about Bane's addition in Orlando.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
so
me too.
There's a lot of teams.
There's a lot of teams.
We
have we even mentioned Portland. They ended the year at a high last year. When people were saying they should be tanking a little bit to get a better draft pick. Chauncey had those guys playing at a high level. So and they added Drew Holiday as well. So what does that look like? What does Utah look like? I remember they started off the year last year at so high, and then they obviously tailed off. But Laurie had an unbelievable summer. So what does Utah look like? What is I don't know. It's going to be just another intriguing year. I'm up here sitting here like I'm not going to be playing.
Right. Yeah. You're just going to be watching League Pass every day?
I'm just going to be watching League Pass on one channel and then the golf channel, the golf channel on the other one, the golf station.
Make no mistakes. Lakers will be a League Pass team. Lakers will be a League Pass team.
Yeah, the Lakers will definitely be, for sure, the talk of the town.
It's going to be a fun year. Man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Mind the Game. New episodes drop every other Tuesday. Remember to like, subscribe, or follow wherever you're watching.